Hi, everybody. There's a lot of people here. Happy to see everybody's faces, some of my friends from home. Aside from faces, I hope your listening ears are on, because I'm going to tell you all a story today about how when I was in middle school, I thought my life was over. If anyone else can relate, and I know what you're thinking, everyone thinks their life is over when they're 12. For me, it went a lot deeper than that typical tween-age drama that you hear about. I had a lot going on in my head, from family issues to feeling left out to navigating the complex dynamics of middle school. And when weekly meetings with my school guidance counselor weren't enough, all of the stress that was weighing on me converged into a huge panic attack in the middle of my school gym during a game of 6 bases. But little did I know that some of the same sports being played in that gym would end up helping me more than I could ever imagine a little bit later on. So to get off of that for a second, I grew up in a family full of sports fans. My dad practically raised me on the New York Rangers and the New York Mets, was ready to write those names on my birth certificate before Jennifer Moglia was even printed on it. And I'm really thankful for that, because the sense of community and togetherness that comes with being a sports fan is near indescribable to me. Suiting up in your favorite player's jersey, rushing up to your seat, you're cheering along with thousands of people who feel the same passion as you. It's indescribable. So to go back to what I was saying earlier, after that first ever panic attack, I started seeing a therapist. I was actually wearing a Rangers t-shirt at my first ever session, Lundqvist and number 30 on the back. And after my first couple sessions, I got diagnosed with something called generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD. And after I was given that diagnosis, I got to work at learning how to live with it. Essentially, my therapist at the time had told me that the panic attacks were going to be there to stay for at least a little while, which she was totally right about, and that my middle school stresses would only get worse, which I'm sure you all can confirm she was totally right about. She emphasized the importance of finding something that she called a safe haven, a place or an activity I could run away to when the real world tried to trigger the anxious parts of my brain and body. My first attempt at finding a safe haven wasn't even a deliberate one. There was a New York Rangers game on that night, playoff matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I became beyond absorbed in this game. I can still vividly remember sitting at the foot of my mom's bed with my eyes darting back and forth following the puck across the screen. And for anyone who has followed the Rangers for a couple of years, you know that they did not win that game. They actually got eliminated from the playoffs that night. But that wasn't what mattered to me. What mattered was that I had something that was able to take me out of those stressful situations for at least a couple hours. And I went to bed that night feeling at peace, not in pieces, for the first time in a really long time. And after that, all of the little quirks and qualities that came with being a sports fan started to mean something to me. I was wearing shirts and jerseys and watching games whenever I could, getting notifications sent to my phone for every piece of big hockey news that broke, and it started to feel like I was making progress. I had an outlet for all of these stresses that were coming to me, and I was really thankful for that. So as that year went on, still suffering from the stresses of a middle schooler, yes, even over the summer, I spent the later half of that year falling in love with the New York Mets and a certain pitcher that we may or may not be familiar with. And that year, the Mets made it to the World Series, becoming National League champions. And getting to see this group of ragtag, nobody players get there, becoming the National League champions, it felt symbolic to me. Because nobody thought that the Mets could do it. Nobody thought that Jacob deGrom could do it, but hey, I thought to myself, if my favorite team can create this great upset and accomplish what seemed impossible, why couldn't I do the same thing with my own struggles? And watching that banner raise on the following opening day felt like a victory not just for them, but for me, because we had both made it through the darkest of nights to see the brightest of stars start to shine for us. And after that Mets World Series run, I started to make a huge metamorphosis. I started talking about my anxiety and what caused it, not keeping it bottled up. I was posting on social media for things like World Mental Health Day or World Suicide Prevention Day. And I was trying to be there for my friends more, to check in on them when something seemed off. And when I felt like I couldn't help, I had the hotline numbers or instant chat websites to give to them so they knew they could find their own help. Soon enough, I decided that it was time to start thanking the people who had done so much for me. So I went in the car with my mom to Paramus, New Jersey, long drive after a long school day, to meet former New York Rangers Derek Brassard and Matt Zuccarello, two of my favorite players at the time. And getting to stand in front of them and tell them how much they had helped me without even knowing it, that was another one of those milestones that really felt like I was making progress. They were really sweet to me, holding my hand over the table when I started shaking and making jokes because they could tell that I was nervous. And that night, I cried the entire way home because I couldn't believe that I had done it. I had done something that was supposed to be the most anxiety-inducing thing in the world for me on purpose, and it felt like heaven. I needed more of it. And since that night, a lot has changed. I'm a couple inches taller, go to an even bigger school now, and I'm doing better than ever mentally and emotionally. The panic attacks are fewer and far between, and even when they do start to come, I have those internal coping mechanisms that I know I can combat them with, whether it's breathing exercises, the more traditional ones, or ones you may not have heard of, like picking up a random book and starting to read it. And all of that seemed impossible just a few short years ago. And at some points, I genuinely believed that it was, because learning to play nice with your mental illness isn't exactly an easy feat. It's actually really hard. I'm really thankful that I had hockey and baseball to give me a space that felt safe during those tough times, while recognizing that I did make that growth for myself. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with that quote we associate with Wayne Gretzky about missing 100% of the shots that you don't take. And that quote really relates to my story more than I could ever imagine. I don't think that if I hadn't taken that shot at improving myself and my own life for me, that I would be here where I am right now today. So I ask all of you, something to take with you when you leave, what is that shot that you need to take to make your own life better? And who are the teammates around you that you need for that? Thank you so much.